I'm Chris Nur, Chief Digital Officer of Synity, a world leader in enterprise data software. And we're partnering with CDO Magazine, MIT CDO IQ, and the International Society of Chief Data Officers to bring you this ongoing series of interviews with thought leaders in data and analytics. Today, I have the terrific pleasure of talking with Wendy Batchelder, Chief Data Officer of VMware. Welcome, Wendy. Great to meet you.
Hey, Chris. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So let's jump right into it if we can. You were, after an interesting and distinguished career in various data fields, appointed Chief Data Officer in Q4 of last year. That's awesome. Congratulations. Tell us a bit, what are you most excited about in this role, and what's your vision for Chief Data Officer and for your organization?
Great question, Chris. It's tremendous to be the first Chief Data Officer at VMware. I'm really excited that the company has recognized the significance of data and analytics, and is acknowledging that by appointing a Chief Data Officer. I think that in and of itself is something to be excited about. My vision for the company is to really become more data driven and being able to put forward consistent data metrics, reporting, and data products that will enable and empower the company to future success. So really moving away from being more of an order-taking organization into more of an offensive organization is a transformation that I am just really excited to be at the forefront of and to be able to, just help drive as a part of my role.
Yeah, that's terrific, and I didn't actually realize that you're the first, so that's even better. And I love it when I see that kind of acknowledgement on the part of boards and executive management that this is a really important area to focus on. Maybe in terms of your vision, I could just drill into that a little bit. When you talk about kind of moving away from the IT order taking function into driving the business more, is your focus more on top line growth for VMware, helping your customers with top line growth, or is it more oriented around kind of internal efficiency, resource allocation, working capital, internal P&L? And I think this is kind of an interesting area of focus, sort of, I'll call it growth versus cost efficiency and internal versus external focus.
Yeah, Chris, it's a combination of both. So I have within my organization, I have responsibility for data governance, quality, metadata, analytics and insights, data science, and also RPA. And so because of that, I think unique blend, we have the benefit of really looking at things from a services perspective. How do we provide automation and just advanced capabilities for the organization to drive efficiencies and cost savings and, just helping the company to be more efficient and effective. But on the other side, just serving up those, next opportunity to buy, propensity modeling. There's so many opportunities for us to really help our customers to have the best product in their hands for their needs. So we're really looking at, both sides of that coin and how do we drive both top line growth, but also operational efficiency within the organization across all business units. So we're in, I think, a unique position to be able to see that end to end, which is, I think, some of the power of having an enterprise data function.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's great to hear, and I completely agree. And I sort of go to that question right away because I feel that all too often, there's an emerging awareness of the importance of data, enterprise data management, but then it sort of devolves into, how can I scrape a few more pennies? And I'm not demeaning that. The cost efficiency is very important, but I think that, especially in my view, as we're emerging into, hopefully this year, a post-pandemic world, refocusing on growth is going to be critically important. So it's great to hear that that's part of your vision and part of your brief. So Wendy, along those lines, there's been a lot of emphasis in 2020, and I think there will be going forward on business outcomes and value delivery, and kind of the creation of visions of a vision, measuring that with outcomes and then measuring that with metrics. So maybe just double clicking on this growth story a little bit. Are there one or two kind of business or value outcome programs and or metrics that you could share that are kind of part of your emerging growth story as a chief data officer?
Yeah, absolutely. So, part of my stepping into this role is really looking at things from like an OKR perspective. What are the objectives that we're really aiming to drive as an organization? How do we help influence and drive those business outcomes, like you mentioned? And then how do we measure that? And I think for a lot of data professionals, especially those who came from more of an IT perspective, that's harder to do. It's, I think, a unique skill set for a lot of deep data professionals to be able to translate that into true business impact. And that's where I see a lot of people almost struggle to be able to translate their value in terms of, that executive staff member, or help them understand, the real practicality of delivering on these data solutions that, are near and dear to all of our hearts. And so we have really spent a lot of time in the last really 3 months in translating, what are the company's objectives? How do those cascade into our objectives? How do we support those? And then how do we measure that? So one area is around like customer renewals. How do we speed that process up? How do we make things more efficient? And a lot of that comes down to stitching master data together with purchase history information and being able to make that more automated. So just looking at those opportunities, one of the metrics we're looking at is that timeline. How do we make that speed of transaction faster? How do we improve that in terms of days? And then from there, how do you shave off hours or even minutes in that transaction lifecycle to make the customer experience that much better? So we're able to see and look at customer experience and how that translates into things that we need to do to help empower the organization to move faster, better, with higher quality data and just better operational efficiency.
I love that example, and I share your experience with having in a different way, because we're an enterprise data company as well. There's a lot of change management and a lot of education to help data professionals, and I think as leaders in the field, that's very important to focus on. Not just that we're kind of moving the bits and bytes or moving the master data, but that it actually translates into something tangible. And I think from a growth perspective, I love that example of, it's just making sure, one, that your customers have the right thing for their needs. And then also, once you figure that out, not getting lost in the mechanics of getting that renewal done, which, obviously in large companies that there tends to be additions to cycle time, non-value added stuff, bureaucracy, and then just getting visibility to that. And what's nice is it sounds like there's a great alignment with your commercial organization, that's something to focus on, and that sort of a thread of alignment through all of that. So I think that's a terrific example.